live in stereo and high definition. Last few days, I've been reading on my Kindle about the guy's biography. It's really interesting. Most of you that know me, especially those that know me very well, know that I'm obsessed with the blues and the music, guitars, especially the history of music. And I read a lot of those biographies by different musicians and books about history and development of rock and roll and how it became today what it is. All music started down south from Mississippi, going up the river to St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, South Side. Blues musicians left Mississippi and went to Chicago, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf. And the youngest one, and still alive, Buddy Guy. Buddy Guy is actually from Louisiana. His parents worked on a farm. Somebody was the owner, and then they work, whatever they produce, they give half of it to the owners. They keep half. That was the standard in those days. So there's a couple pieces of this book I want to share with you. Sometimes when I'm impressed with something, I just have to share. I have to show how much I like it. Then I torture other people with stories about great musicians or events or concerts. So here we go, just a couple paragraphs from Buddy Guy's book. He's a small boy and has a couple brothers, sister moved to Baton Rouge. They're still on a farm. So he says here, first music I heard, first music that touched my heart wasn't made by man. It was the music of the birds. They was singing in the morning and singing at night. They caught my ear and had me wondering about all the creatures made by God. Some crawled and hissed and poisoned you with their bite. Others flew and sang and serenaded you with their sweetness. I could follow the different melodies made by different birds. How did they learn their songs? Why were they pretty? When they sang, I closed my eyes so that everything disappeared except those little chirpy songs that made me realize that the world is filled with beautiful sounds. World was filled with beautiful sounds. And that's what I all the time say. Music is everywhere around us. Wherever you go, you hear some speaker somewhere or somebody's listening. You can hear people through their headphones, even sound leaking out. You can hear it in the movies, in TV shows, concerts, American Idol, records, CDs. Music is everywhere. And Buddy Guy noticed that with the birds, because they didn't have radio, they didn't even have electricity. That was like 1935 or something. And that's what you have to sit and listen around you, in the city, in the nature, listen to the sounds and process. Well, then he grew up a little bit and he was about 10 years old, and he's describing here his first encounter with the guitar. There was a man named Henry Smith who had talent. Daddy called him Coot and made sure he came over every Christmas with his 2-string guitar. So the guy had guitar with only 2 strings. Couldn't afford the other 4. And actually probably didn't need it. They gave him wine and have him play. His was the first guitar I ever saw, the first one I ever touched. I watched him pick the thing with his fingers and produce a sound that gave me goosebumps. He sang a song called Tomorrow Night. Later I learned a blues singer called Lonnie Johnson recorded it. When I first heard Coot, we still didn't have no electricity, which meant no radio or records. Coot would take a wooden chair, sit himself down, put the guitar on his lap and make it talk. Just 2 strings. His voice was big. His voice wasn't big, but it went good with the music, told the story, made you stop and listen. Naturally, he had no drummer, but he kept time by stomping his foot on the wooden floor. You felt like dancing. You felt like playing and singing yourself. So he studied and learned actually a couple songs from Coot. And that's how he started. This is when he got infected with the first blues song. So it says, in 1949, about when I turned 13, Boogie Chillin' was the biggest hit in the country among black folk. It was by far the biggest hit in the Guy household. Wasn't anything more than one guy playing his electric guitar by himself. Notes were simple, words were simple. Words didn't even rhyme, but the groove got me. The mood was so strong that after the song had done played, you had to play it over. When the man said, "Mama told Papa, let the boy boogie woogie," I figured that this John Lee Hooker had to be talking about me. I figured that one way or the other, I had to get me a guitar and learn Boogie Chillin'. I knew that inside the song was a mystery I had to know. I mean, this happens to me so many times. There was a couple times in my life, I think I was high school, first year, and Don McLean came out with American Pie. But that's fine, everybody likes that song. But I got the album, and one of the songs were Vincent. You know, it starts Starry, Starry Night. My God, when I heard that, I told my friend, I remember, the music is over. No one can ever make anything more or better than this. I have no idea what was about that song, but it was amazing. Then later, that happened again, somewhere in 1971, when I heard Led Zeppelin. Even they started 69, but in my communist country where I grew up, it takes a couple of years to get the album. When I heard Led Zeppelin, I said, okay, now music is definitely over. There's no one else that can beat this. Well, 10 years later, it was 1980, I heard Talking Heads, and I told myself, now music is done. And actually that was the moment when I stopped listening rock music. You know, 80s, they turned into really weird stuff, too much electronics, and later 90s music really sucks. So I really don't listen rock music. I don't listen anymore since I heard Talking Heads. There was something into that sound, and David, he's a really genius putting all that stuff together. Mixing the beats from African roots and Jamaican. And they started like a punk band. Came to a moment that they can fill stadiums. Hey, find on a YouTube Talking Heads concert in Rome. I think it was 1980 or 1981. That is some stuff. So let me continue with Buddy Guy. So now, He's infected, definitely. His father actually bought from the Coot 2-string guitar for $4.25 and gave him the guitar. That is amazing that in those days, those people that really had no money and had hard time surviving, that father saw in his son desire for the music and did what he could to afford that instrument for him. He gave him the pad. That's how we got the great Buddy Guy today. So he started learning, practicing songs, and then that was acoustic guitar with 2 strings. He kept playing 2 strings. Later he got other 4. So he learned songs he could play. He actually later even played in some local bars and stuff. So here's the moment. A couple years later, after this, he's in a local store in the town, and he's still probably like 14, 15 maybe. So he saw the man coming in the store bringing the guitar and the box. So he asked, who's that? Well, that's Lightning Slim. He was a local, traveling around from town to town. You give him a beer or 2, he's gonna play. So Buddy, being affected with the music, he started actually approaches him and ask him, sir, you gonna play? He says, sure will. Go. So he pulled out, and that's something what Buddy saw for the first time, the amplifier. It was probably small. He plugged his guitar and he started fingering the guitar. I stood there right in front of him with the first string of his guitar. Shock ran through my body. The blood inside my head, the blood pumping my heart, the blood running through my limbs. All that blood started into boiling. When Lightning began singing, the raw sound of his voice and the jolt of his guitar set me back on my heels. My mouth dropped open so wide a family of flies could have flown in. At that moment, I wasn't noticing nothing but Lightning Slim playing Boogie Chillin' on his electric guitar. He didn't sound like John Lee Hooker, no one does, but he sounded good. So Buddy learned actually a lot from Lightning Slim, how to behave on a stage and how important is the electric guitar for sound, because he said it can carry for miles and folks hear you come to dance. One more piece. So he moved to Baton Rouge for high school, stayed with his sister, and when he finished high school, he was probably about 18, 19, he went to Chicago. Coot gave him the address and said, if you ever come, you're welcome, stay at my place. He moved to Chicago, found Coot, stayed with him, looking for a job. He didn't plan to play much guitar, but so came a moment. It's winter. He's broke. He had a few dollars he brought with him from Louisiana. He has nothing to eat. He said, I didn't eat like for 4 days. 2 days, didn't put anything in his mouth. And the guy met him on the street, saw guitar, asking, can he play? Yep. He took him to a club called something 784, something like that. He had a number in the club name. And that's when the Buddy Guy played first time live for people. He made them crazy. They liked him so much that after he finished, a guy came, and one from the bar, and said, Mud wants to see you. Muddy Waters? The hoochie coochie man, Muddy Waters, I ask. That's him. Where is he? just went out to his car. He's in that red Chevy wagon. You're sure? Yeah. So he went out, found the car. First thing I noticed about the mud was his puffy cheeks, set high on his face. His dark skin had a glow. His big eyes sparkled and showed me his mood. On this night his mood was happy. His hair, worked up in a dew, was shiny and piled high on his head. He was something to see. First thing he said, "You like salami?" "I like anything," I said. "I see you're hungry." "Hungry as a horse." "Well, I got me a loaf of bread and some good salami. I'll fix you a sandwich." "I'd be much obliged. Where are you from?" "Louisiana." "They told me your name, but I done forgot it. Buddy Guy." "You're a farm boy?" "Yes, sir." He smiled. "I thought so. I know you had to be picking cotton before you ever picked a guitar." "Yes, sir, way before." "Like me," said the mud. "You pick cotton long enough and you never complain about having to pick the guitar." "I never would complain about picking the guitar." "You won't complain none about this salami. Comes from a Jewish delicatessen where they cut it special for me. Have a taste." He handed me a sandwich he had made himself. I waffled it down. Never tasted anything so good. "Don't Lightning Slim play down there in Louisiana and that his territory?" "Yes, sir. He was the first I heard." "I heard you was playing one of his songs tonight. Which one is that?" "Things I Used to Do." "That's Guitar Slim. Eddie Jones is his birth name." "Never knew that." "He got that long chord and he likes to jump around. I see you like jumping around, too." "Just something that happened tonight. I was just about to quit Chicago." "You don't want to do that." "I don't want to be hungry." "Well, I'm giving you this salami, ain't I?" "Yes, sir, you are, and I want to thank you." As Muddy kept talking, I found myself tapping my foot to his words. He was talking all right, but it was more like he was singing. Never had met anyone who turned talking into a song. So see how these people that have something for music inside themselves, they hear music everywhere, in the birds. They can make a difference between the songs of the birds. They hear the music when somebody's talking in the rhythm of their voice and how they're structuring the sentences. He said, I could tap my foot with him talking. So there's a rhythm in Muddy Waters all the time. That's what I wish I was born a little earlier so I could come and spend some time on Southside Chicago. Down on Maxwell Street Market, they had that's outside. It's really bad and poor neighborhood. And they had there some local bars. And on Sunday, they worked every day, except Sunday. After church, they go to a bar, get drunk. Then they have guitar competition. Every Sunday, Muddy Waters was winning. Then came Buddy Guy, and he started winning all those events. That's how people learned about them, and that's how they start liking them. I wish I was able to be there. I wish if I have some magic watch, you can just flip a little back and zoom, puts you back in 1954, Southside Chicago, Maxwell Street. Muddy Waters, who started like Buddy on acoustic guitar, but when came to Chicago, learned the electric and became a sensation. I can go all day with this. So hope that you may find this book. It's Buddy Guy's biography. Find it on Amazon. Download to your phone, to your Kindle. It's an amazing book. Adios.